guys, welcome to Analytics Corner. I'm your host Dan, the POM for Blue Abroad, and Essendon are up next in the Analytics Corner, the Rivals series. Now Essendon, they made the 8 last year, and 2020 is set to be a period of transition as they look to do the handover at the end of this season, and let's see what they have in store on the field. Now, if we look at the ins, they've scored the former Blue in Andrew Phillips, the ruckman, in the trade period, and we know he's a reliable ruckman as Carlton fans, and he's an ever reliable backup for Bell Chambers. And from what we saw, we know that he's a very reliable hit out to advantage. He finds you the ball. He went at about 60% last year, and it offers some real faith for the Essendon faithful that if anything does happen to Bell Chambers, they've got some serious talent. They may even as well, he did do some cameo roles up top, and so does Bell Chambers. He rotates in that forward line. And a lot of the top 8 sides now are playing with dual ruckman off the pine and adding that kind of, extra option. So there's options there, and options win you flags, and that's a good little pickup there for me. Another one as well was Tom Cutler. We know that in our trade period, we did talk about Tom Cutler. A good pickup, I thought, from Brisbane. And I do have a soft spot for him. He really provides you a lot of options. He can play across half-back in the midfield. He has played on the ball in the State League. He finds the ball, he's a natural accumulator, he's got a good kick. Question marks on his fitness, but he did stay fit predominantly last year, and he's a real valuable tool when fit. I kind of see him more as a forward half player now, and he does find the ball, and he really adds that reliable penetrating kick as well. And that's something that Essendon did struggle with last year. Their entry was inside 50, so he's a fantastic pickup. Now, the trade period probably was filled with the talk of Danaher, and is it the right decision to keep him? They held firm, and it was quite impressive how firm they held. There was some silly figures remarked around old Joe Danaher, and it looks like his injury is a little bit worse than first feared. So whether that was the correct call, time will tell, time will be the judge. But they did gain 2 valuable pieces, I thought, in the draft period, and that's one of them's Harrison Jones. Big fan of him. He's a true project key forward. Now, we did preview him in draft night, and he makes a lot of sense for Essendon. He has all the skills you'd look for in a tall forward. He's got good aerial craft, decent kicking technique, and I've got no doubt he'll develop in a good player. I think this year you'll see him spend a bit more time in the VFL. I don't really see he'll make his AFL debut this year, but very good player, very solid pickup, got all the facets of a modern day forward. They also went in and they got a project ruckman, and it makes sense because if you think about it, Bell Chambers isn't going to go on forever, and for me, he's got all the hallmarks he has, Brian, of being a modern day ruckman. He's got good ruck craft already, a bit of body work on him, refine that craft, and he will be that modern day ruckman. It'd be interesting to see his development in the VFL. They also went out and got Ned Cahill. Now, Carlton fans were full of Ned Cahill. They really, really wanted him to be picked up in the later drafts. Essendon got in there, and when we look, Essendon statistically rank last from points scored in the forward half, and he's a really dynamo type player that really suits that kind of Essendon, what they're trying to get out of their forwards. He's got great pressure, good tackle, good pace, knows where the goals are. He does find the ball as well, and I think him along with Gown and Mosquito will really fight for them small forward positions throughout the year. Keep an eye out on him, he's a really interesting prospect. They rookied Hibberd as well. Now, if you looked at him throughout his VFL year, since being delisted by North, he had an explosive year for Williamstown. Really good on-baller, tough, got space, he gets out, and if you look at the top teams, they try and escape trouble. They don't try and get into a contested battle, and I think he will feature at some point. He's a valuable go-to option, and it'll be interesting to see. He really does suit that midfield structure there. Looking at the bottoms team, let's look at the 22. Now, from an analytical point of view, you look at Essendon's list, and you look at the last 10 years of teams that have won flags. Their list's average is 23.6, and Essendon's is 23.4. And the average games in them 10 years has been 66.1, and the Essendon is 66. So this team is really literally in that marketplace of jumping to a flag. And you're looking for things. So if we look at the backline is a Premiership backline in my opinion. It's very prudent, it's very stringent on goals. Third has been stingiest in the league last year. Cale Hooker and Hurley are a really good key combination. And with Sard, McKenna, they provide that zip off halfback that all the top sides possess. We know it's a transitional league. You've also got Tom Cutler who can come down there, provide that grunt and accumulation. And have a look out for Zirk Thatcher. He's a solid footballer, good aerial craft, had a decent year, made his debut against Fremantle, and he's got a keen eye for that intercept mark, and that is probably the key ingredient of transitional defence. When you've got Sard on that one flank, you know, you want to intercept and feed it to them faster players, and I expect to see him get some chances going out throughout the year. Now when we go over to the midfield, for me it's stacked, and I get a lot of hate as a Carlton fan because there's two Essendon players that I've maybe got a man crush on them, and let's talk about them. Now, Sam Walsh did make me feel better about missing out on Dylan Shield, there's no doubt about it, and I'm kind of over it, particularly when that six-pack picture got uploaded yesterday. Well and truly over it, but he is a handy footballer. He's got the explosive pace, and I've just talked about top teams escape contests quickly, and he's literally the prototype for that. And they have a lot of talent there, but the problem is with their talent is their efficiency from inside 50 is the bottom half, marks inside 50, bottom half, and goals for their bottom 4, and they're worrying stats, and that comes from maybe like Dylan Shield has that criticism that he's a butcher. Now I hate using that term, but he does throw it on the boot a lot, and it does become a habit of just pinging it in there, and that's something that they will look to. If he can sharpen up that disposal and really find to hit the key targets, he's a dangerous player, and he has got the ability to take a game for you. And another one is Zach Merritt. Now, Zach Merritt, for me, most underrated midfielder in the competition at the moment. I thought he was phenomenal last year. He came into a lot of criticism at the start of the year with his second efforts and all that malarkey. But like, you look at his performance against the Crows, that comeback win, and he's proof that he's a game changer. And you had Heppel, you had Parrish, you had Andrew McGrath another year, career best in disposals for him last year. The perfect mix of quality, speed and toughness that a Premiership team possesses, and I really do expect them to brush up on that tardiness this year and really increase them disposals and them efficiency numbers, because they should be a lot better than the numbers suggest. Now the forward line for me is the issue. I feel like they lack a quality marking key forward, and the facts are they just don't take enough quality marks close enough to goal to damage teams. Danaher looks like he's going to have another injury interrupted year, and although I've never been a fan of Danaher, he is that kind of thing they miss. Now for me, Stringer isn't and plays his best football at centre half forward. I think he's more of that roaming forward, that kind of like Dusty type where he has no set role, he goes where he's needed. For me, relying on the centre half forward is an injustice to what he's capable of. He's so damaging, and for me, McKernahan's like that second forward. He's reliable, if not remarkable. And what they're really looking for this year is Stringer and McKernahan to really form that partnership, and McKernahan really to step up and be a rough centre target for them. And if the stars align, as we know, the age profile fits, but to me that's their weak option, and there's plenty of options there as well for them. You've got Tipper, who is just literally personifies that Premiership craft of high pressure, good tackles in the forward line. Orazio Fantasia, they did really well to resist the overtures from South Australia. Another damaging player. If he brings his best on his day, he's as good as anyone. And Zacharakis, he's just reliable. His all aesthetic is, when he's on the park, he's reliable and you know what you get from him. But the problem is, he has suffered from injuries in recent years. Good forward line for me, but just for me lacking that one key target. Now the followers, you know, is solid. Bell Chambers is a workhorse. He might not be the best ruckman in the comp, but he's always reliable. And Shield and Heppel really combine combative spirit with explosive line-breaking speed. It's a very solid combination and it works well. And for me, most sides stack up to them. It stacks up. Now let's talk about my ones to watch this year. For me, it's Irving Mosquito. Big fan of him, super excited about him, and can't wait to see him out on the park. He has that wow factor that you need. He's going to break in at some point, and I suspect he's going to be a cult figure at Essendon. We love Tipper. Everyone can't help but love Tipper, would he? I think he just adds to that as well, and I think that sheer raw of pace and tenacity, the small stocks are bright. A bit like the West Coast Eagles, they've got a lot of young, up-and-coming, exciting forwards there, and to me, I expect to see him somewhere. Now, how do you beat them? We know that Essendon, they don't punish teams. And a team like Carlton that loves an inside 50 against, they won't fear a Bombers side. And until that's rectified, you're always going to have a chance against Essendon if you apply the pressure around the ground. When we look at key indicators for teams that win, it's forward half turnover, points for, ground ball gets, and they rank really low in that for a team that finishes in the top 8. And it's about applying that pressure around the ground, winning the tough stuff, and then you can kind of unlock the Bombers because they have a default status of just bombing it inside 50. If nothing's on, just bomb it in. And with them injuries, with the small forward line, the top teams have built transition as a counter-attack. So that intercept mark comes into play. Small forward line, like we say, and that's where the teams strike from the transition. So it's about applying the position pressure and forcing that kind of default setting that they've got at the moment, which is kind of synonymous with word-fouled teams, is the entries inside 50, just get it in there, and that's where you can beat them. Now let's look at TPI. TPI has them 7th, and I think that's fair. I think that the media has gone a bit nuts with the injuries and the state of Essendon's list. As a Carlton fan, you know that I'm probably not Essendon's biggest fan, but for me, it is a strong list and the respect needs to be there. It's a top 8 side. Champions data, we know that I'm critical of it. It has it as the 4th strongest list. And that's basically the season. I think they'll finish in the 8. I think they'll be thereabouts. Will they win a flag? I don't think so. Outside chance maybe of them winning a final. They need to do that. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck, Essendon, throughout the year. Wish you all the best, as always, with all the teams. Except when you come across us. The comp once as strong for me, Carlton, Essendon, Collingwood and Richmond in that final series. Rivalries need flags on the line. So best of luck, and as always, thanks for watching. Go Blues.